Halo Santi, Bu Neni bisa dengar saya nggak? Leona, can you hear me?
Yes, Putih M, I can hear you.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yes, Bu.
Ternyata Bulis sudah ada di situ. Makasih banyak ya udah apa namanya? Let me choose like what
Who go first? Goes
when I
first,
should
yeah.
like represent. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, sure.
Nanti tak ikut mendengarkan. Good afternoon, Bapak Marwan.
Good afternoon, Miss.
Just call me Bu Titi.
Oh yeah, sorry, Bu
Yeah.
Titi. Good afternoon.
Where you from?
I'm from Lampung.
Oh, from Lampung. Oh, that's far
Yeah.
away. I thought,
Yeah.
yeah, like Punani told us that like we have expanded like our coverage, but I never thought that someone from Lampung would join us. But it's a pleasure. Yeah. How how many sessions have you joined so far?
So far, I have joined four
Oh,
sessions.
four.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
great.
missed one
Yeah.
session.
Oh, good. Good on you. Yeah. Bu Vivi, Bu Emmy from Purwokerto. Hello, Bu Vivi.
Hello,
Bu Vivi, where you from?
I'm from BSD.
From BSD Jakarta.
Yeah.
Oh, great. Like my brother like lives there. Yeah, well, still lives there. Okay. With her
Oh,
family. All right. It's 3 o'clock now. I was wondering if we could just wait for like 5 minutes, or like what do you think, Sandy and Ilona? What I'm supposed to do? Should I like start right away, or just wait maybe for other minutes? Oh, anyway, I'll wait. Hello, Bu Linda.
Selamat siang.
Selamat siang. Bu Linda, how many sessions have you joined so far?
This is my first time.
Oh, welcome. Welcome. How did you, like, know this program?
I also did not know. I saw the link on Facebook, then I just registered.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Where are you from?
I'm from Vietnam.
Oh, from Vietnam. But you spoke Indonesian, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I heard you speak. You said like selamat siang.
Because I am learning Bahasa Indonesia.
Oh, great. Where?
I learn with the GTAP SEAMEO.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
the Southeast Asian one.
I don't know that program, but anyway, yeah.
Okay,
It's nice.
then I will send you the link.
Yeah. Welcome. Okay, we'll wait for like 2 minutes, and then we'll start. Okay, we have about 20 people now, in 23 including us from Universitas Kristen Satu Wacana, from Magister of English Language Education. Okay, actually masters of Masters of English Language Education program. Yeah, I mixed up between the Indonesian and English names. Sorry. All right, one more minute. Oh, Sandy just I just read his message that I should just start. But anyway, I'll wait for One more minute. All right, Bapak Ibu, let us start, with our session, today. First of all, good afternoon and welcome to my presentation. My name is Titik Murtisari. Well, my first name is Elizabeth, yeah. But you can call me Titik, yeah, or Bu Titik. Okay. Right. Okay, today's presentation is entitled using multilingual approaches. Okay, and most of my presentation as what well, actually required by the program is from British Council. Okay, but they have good what materials for you, very practical for respecting, also valuing multilingualism in our language teaching. Right. All right. Now let me share my PowerPoint. So I hope you can hear me well. Right. All right. So again, this is the title of my presentation, using multilingual approaches. Okay. And the housekeeping rules, because not every one of you has been to this program more than once. Okay. The session is being recorded, and then mute your microphone until it's your turn to talk. Okay, to minimize disruption. Then turn on your video whenever possible. It's nice to see your faces. And then use the raise hand button on the chat box to ask questions. Use chat box or reaction buttons to interact, and you'll get the slides and video link via email or WhatsApp group later. Okay, so don't worry. Okay. Yeah, I'll skip that typical structure of the session. Okay, and this is the general, what materials, is not doesn't not only involve my material, but also others teachers materials. Okay, and then how to set this PowerPoint. Okay, this is important. Okay, just in case, although this is just a simple presentation, but you might find it useful. So this is you can refer to this later. And then the session's objectives aligned with the of my presentation. I expect my participants first to understand the concept of multilingualism. That's the key concept in our session today. Then understand why it is important to value multilingualism in English language teaching, especially in most of our what participants context I expect is EFL. And then understand the concept of the multilingual turn, because this is very much related to why we deal with multilingualism in the first place today. And then understand different ways and strategies that encourage inclusive education in multilingualism. So there are also a lot of pedagogical consideration in in this issue. Yeah. All right. Okay, let us start with the first part, which is related to the definition or concept of multilingualism. Quite simply, multilingualism can be defined as the ability of societies, institutions, groups, and individuals to engage on a regular basis with more than one language in their day-to-day lives. Okay, if we can see from this definition that multilingualism is part of life. Okay, and engagement is referred to active uses of different languages. Okay? Then, the second one, okay, which also, which like, what supports like, the first concept is coexistence, contact, and interaction of different languages. So, see here, they are not separate. Okay, so when like if you live like in a city, for instance, if there are segregations on language uses, then they are not multilingualism. They interact, they coexist, and people also use that like what like probably by code switching, like, and then like they interact like using like different languages. Okay, no separation. And then like because of mobility and internet connection, today multilingualism is the norm of many societies. So it is something that we have to deal with because it is part of life. Okay. Sorry, I need to admit like people that like oh, okay, someone has admitted them. Okay. Sorry. All right. Okay, next slide. Okay. According to Dixon, okay, from British Council, 2018, multilingualism may improve cognitive capacity and multitasking. That's why, these are reasons like, why we need to value multilingualism in our language teaching. And then it may also enhance students' learning involvement when home languages are used, okay? Because this can also, they may be, this can be psychological when, like your home language, language is acknowledged and accepted, then you also feel accepted because like, identity and language are inseparable, okay? And then also strengthen connection between school and home. Probably in in a EFL like context normally, and also in most like context that I have observed in our schools, normally we use like less L2 normally, but then there are also increase like and some some increasing schools if that use EMI or English as what medium of instruction, where English only, probably not increasing, but there are like also some schools, okay, that use EMI and they're also prestigious. Yeah. So there are like a disconnection between school and home. Okay, and for this, something like this, like pedagogically, like is not something positive, and you can find out like later, for instance, from critical pedagogy. And then next one, like this is probably something that we don't normally think, like, oh, okay. So using like multilingualism makes school safer place for students, as students are not discriminated when using their home languages. So this one is related to the previous one that I have mentioned. Right. And one more reason, like why we need to what incorporate multilingualism in our English language teaching is like theoretically, and there is a shift. Right? This is not probably okay, probably not theoretical, like a shift of perspective. And not necessarily just theoretical, but this is like a shift of perspective, a shift of like a way of like what like looking at how we should teach English, and this is what we call multilingual turned. Okay, which is a shift of paradigm, forgetting the incorporation of multilingual, translingual, termasuk translation ya antar bahasa, okay, perspectives in applied linguistics and sociolinguistics. And in applied linguistics, it also involves language teaching, okay, including English as in context where English is a foreign language. Okay, Prada and Turnbull, 2018. Okay, the multilingual turn has been there for a while, and it's been a very very important shift. Okay, but many teachers in my observation has not are not aware yet of this this trend. And what is multilingual trend, right? Why has it been there? Right? It is a criticism towards the monolingual approach or the English only approach. Okay, we'll talk about this more later. Then multilingual term is also an acknowledgement of the fact that people interact with different languages and cultures. Okay, again that is part of life. Okay, we do not live within what isolated linguistic vacuum that uses only one language, and you cannot use that. Okay, even if one language, for instance, is not permitted for use. Okay, people still think in their L1, okay, in their head. Okay, so basically when we teach languages, second languages, they it's separating that and trying to use English only in a way is a myth in a way. Okay, and then the globalized world and increased mobility has resulted in super diversity. Okay, what is super diversity? It is what context where diversity has been much more significant than before. Yeah, it's well, it's like a melting pot. Okay, but there are different ethnic backgrounds, different languages. Okay, in in a context. Okay, and then also one languages are linked to one another. For instance, my um English, my English language, okay, is linked to my Japanese, native language, and also Indonesian, in my brain. Again, they are not separated. Jadi tidak ada misalnya bagian apa namanya, bagian otak yang hanya ngurusi bahasa Inggris gitu, nggak ada. They are intertwined, okay, in our brain. Right? So there is no separation, like it is perceived in the monolingual approach. Yeah. And here is the reason why the monolingual or English only policy is not recommended anymore. It's because it suppresses home languages. And what does it mean? When our home languages are suppressed, okay, our linguistic and cultural identities are also suppressed. They are not acknowledged. They are not accepted. And because of that, okay, they become more inferior compared to the second or target language. And there is it also promotes native speakerism. This is a natural, in a way, natural consequence of using the monolingual or English only policy, because then when you see that the English, the target language is what the only code or the only language, and there becomes segregation, become different ways of speaking the language. Then the native speaker is perceived to be the superior model, and this has been what's seen as damaging binary concepts of native or non-native. Okay, including for English language teachers and the non-native teachers, what's so called the non-native teachers like me and you. Okay, I once told my students why would you promote native speakerism, because then would go against you when you become teachers. When you glorify in quotation native speakerism, that there is a certain model that you have to look up to, in language teaching. Then when you become teach when your students, for instance, become teachers, then they will be judged by that by that perspective, or assessment. Okay, so the native speaker then will get much more salary compared to the non-native speaker. And while probably many of them are not well equipped in their education, they get more. Okay, and while actually there are a lot, there are even in when I went to UK, the standard English is also spoken by limited number of of speakers. And not everyone so-called native speakers speak the standard English language. Yeah. Right. And then the next one is deficit perspective of language learning. Okay. What does it mean? When we use native speakerism as standard for our language teaching, then people like us, non-native speakers, would not be good enough, okay, in our English language. They would not be adequate enough. We would always be short of those who are born in the inner circle countries. That is not fair. Okay, so we need to to have a shift of paradigm in in teaching English, okay, to our students. Okay, you can be an adequate English speaker, okay, without, for instance, having to adopt a certain accent. For instance, you don't have to be a good speaker of English, but uh, uh, with you don't have to be a good speaker of English, by, for instance, speaking American English, for instance, or probably Australian English, um, and probably British English. Yeah. Well, even in Australian English, for instance, there are a lot of different accents. Okay. And they also have their, well, linguistically, is inevitable, but there are also different labels, given to different kinds of English language. Okay. Right. Now, with this with with that, with the shift of the paradigm in how we see what what is what good English is, and there's also um schools who have changed the way they teach English. Okay? And although some people used to say, and some kids saying, that the English only policy is prestigious, okay? However, better schools are now adopting multilingualism. Okay, let me open this one. Oh, okay. Okay, let me check the chat, while um waiting, for the. Oh, okay, all right, one for me. Okay, can you see the website that I'm sharing right now? embracing multilingualism, the benefits of language learning in international school?
Yeah, I see the slide.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay. Now, this is something that, like I found very interesting. Okay, and also relieving for someone who comes from translation studies background like me, very, very intercultural background. So this international group school, is based in Hong Kong. And this is an international school. When we think of international schools, especially in Indonesia, normally they use only they use English only policy. Okay, but this one, really, this school is really aware of what the need, to what respect and value multilingualisms. And of course, in this way, then students different backgrounds. Okay, here there's different students with different ethnic backgrounds. Okay, identities home identities are also acknowledged and also accepted. Okay, yeah, you can read this yourself, but then this is just an example of how English is not supposed to be seen as prestigious, the prestigious language. Okay, our languages, our home languages, Vietnamese, Indonesian, and then Japanese, and well, all languages must be also respected, and they also stand in equal in equal basis, just like other languages. Okay, and they are also as sorry, as valuable as English. Okay. Okay. I'll go back to my PPT and close this. Okay, you can explore the the example yourself. You see my PPT again, my PPT screen.
Yeah, we see the PPT, but we don't see the link.
Oh, the link. Oh, that's all right. Okay, I have actually closed that. Thank you very much. All right. Okay, now here are ways of valuing multilingualism in language teaching, and you can learn more from British Council. Okay, even British Council also what has changed their policy in helping different countries in learning English. Right? I'll go through this quickly, because there are actually many aspects of multilingualism. Okay, and this this presentation is just a small part of it. This is just an introduction in a way, or probably just a reminder of you, if you have known this kind of perspective before. Okay, so the first one is recognizing and valuing the multilingual nature of societies, schools, and classrooms. So this is your attitude. Okay, you as teachers need to see that English is not the prestigious language, right? But you also need to respect your own identity, a language, and also cultural background, and also your students, because we are all here are what so-called non-native speakers or non-as. Okay, and then giving my learners appropriate opportunities to use their home languages. Okay, we'll talk about this later. Being appropriate. Okay, so it cannot be random. Right? We need to have a strategy in giving our the opportunities to our students to use L1. Okay, and then using strategies to encourage inclusive education within a multilingual learning environment. Okay, we'll talk about this later. making pedagogical choices that respect, capitalize on my learners' linguistic diversity, assessing learners in a manner that takes linguistic background into account, and reflecting on how effective my implementation of multilingual approaches is in promoting learning of the target language. Okay, so we also, like need to, like reflect, as part of our practice, like, as the teacher in using, our multilingual approach. Okay, you can look and also explore more into, like, all different aspects here. Like from, like, this source, okay, from British Council. There is also another, like, good source, like, for employing, incorporating, like, multilingualism, like, in our language teaching from British Council, which I will share with with you later. Okay. All right. Now, using strategies that encourage inclusive education in multilingualism. Okay. Normally, as a language teacher, we think of only how to promote, like, the language learning, but sometimes at the expense of students' identities. Okay. Also, students, like, cultural background and your own, like, identity, like, as a teacher of like of speakers of other, of English speakers of other languages. Okay. And now, like, what, like, we need to have a look at these strategies. Okay. For instance, sorry, I was talking about, like, about the pedagogical, like, aspect of this. Yeah. So it's not only about, teaching, teaching, like, English is not only about making our students communicate in English, but we need to see them, like, as whole persons. Okay? So, this is a more holistic way of English teaching. Okay. Right. Okay, now one strategy is, like, this is not exhaustive list, artinya nggak semua di sini ya. Okay, for instance, translating words into home languages. Okay, I think, like, many of us use L1 actually. Okay, probably a lot, probably a lot more than English, but we'll talk about this later. But these are some examples of how we encourage inclusive education in multilingualism rather than use English only policy. Yeah. For instance, this one, translating words. So translation is not only about GTM, yeah, grammar translation method. Yeah, it's just GTM is not all about translation. What, is only one way of translating and is very literal. Okay, I'm from translation studies, and if you ask me about if you would like to ask me about translation later, you are most welcome. Okay. And then here is, for instance, to check understanding and to compare different language structures. Okay. You can also, like, translate words, like, to to explain the meaning of English words. Okay. And then using English and shared home languages when giving a presentation. This is also appropriate too in certain contexts, of course. Okay. Teachers can answer questions or give information when the learners don't have sufficient knowledge of content in English. This is very typical, like, in many schools in Indonesia or probably in Vietnam. Okay. But, like, because our students are in EFL context and they don't use a lot of English, sometimes they need to, and the teachers need to answer questions in L1. Yeah, or give information in L1. It's not something that that is not permissible. Okay. And then explaining grammar point in home languages. Okay, to clarify the meaning of target language and ask learners to focus on the form and use. When learners do this, teachers and others can check if understanding is accurate. So also for checking understanding. Like, teaching grammar through comparative comparative analysis, contrastive analysis is also very useful. Okay, students may be able to learn more effectively about the target language structures when they know the difference between the target between the difference between the target language and the their L1. Okay, in that way, instead of promoting in what you call that interference, okay, it students can um learn how to what to produce more natural forms in English. Okay. By the way, not all the strategies are copy pasted here. Please find the missing one in Norris. Okay, no date, British Council. Okay. You can see the source link in the reference list. And then translating a sentence or tag into the learner's home languages to compare. Translation again, translation is not equal to grammar translation method. We can talk more about it later. And this can be a way of making sure learners understand that we express things in different ways, in different languages. And word for word translating is not helpful. Okay, so this is a very a very good way of seeing translation. Because normally when when people do not know translation and what translation is, then they say, wait, don't use translation because it will encourage word for word translation. And then your students' language, target language, will not be natural. It's actually the reverse. Okay. Why? Okay. Because when we really understand how to translate, then we know how that, for instance, Google Translate, we can Google Translate and other ways of translating literally. Okay. We can produce, create a more acceptable target language. Okay. Because we know the strategies of negotiating meaning, negotiating forms, because different languages, have different ways of expressing things, and they are culturally bound. So they are bound to be incompatible. Nggak akan sama caranya. Dan harusnya kita mulai dari negotiate. Gimana nih caranya supaya sama caranya. Bahkan, well, for instance, I have to finish this. For instance, the word patient, in English, has different sense, from sabar. Sabar also patient in Indonesian, but when you analyze, the two words, they are different. Okay. Now, next one, comparing aspects of grammar or pronunciation in different languages. Okay, we can compare them. Okay, good teacher question. Learner focus on constructing and generating language and working out guidelines and rules themselves. Okay, you can ask, for instance, your students about, for instance, the teaching of relative clause or adjective clauses. Okay, you can ask, now, can you, do you know, if there is anything like this for in Indonesian, for instance, we use, we have something like that, for instance, construction using yang, ru yang baik itu, for instance, that's so we can compare how they are different. Okay. And then including words or language chunks in home languages in English conversation, that's okay. Using code switching, right? That's one, one way to achieve, our communication, purpose, okay? Using code switching. Okay? It's something that may enable our students to keep on going in conversation rather than being silent all the time. So in that way, we use what we call translanguaging. Okay. So so here it is to help learners and teachers to include everyone in communication and to help when there is a different concept, not easy and not easy way of saying something in English. Okay, I need to. Okay. All right. Okay. So those are some strategies that like we can use in our in our language teaching, okay, to to make to create a more inclusive way of teaching, okay, and also to actually maximize students L2 learning. Okay, we'll talk about this later here soon. Okay, so important notes in our use of one or home languages. Okay, the first one, our choices and use of L1 or home languages will depend on our teaching problems. Okay, we cannot use L1, randomly. Okay, in other words, our use of L1 or home languages must be strategis, karena tujuan kita nanti tetap untuk mengajar murid-murid kita untuk berbahasa Inggris. It is not a means to hide our inability to use the target language in class. Okay, I understand that not all of us are well equipped, and of course, in to be able to keep conversing in English, and that's why we need to improve ourselves as teachers, so we can be a better language model and also be a fluent English language teacher in class. Okay, and then the last one, always remember, okay, developing the ability to communicate in English remains the goal of our teaching, so we still need to maximize our use of L2. Okay, right, because we don't want our students to learn in the home languages or L1 in our language in English language teaching. Yes, learn, but that's not to excel, and that's because of our teaching, but because we want them to be able to to learn how to communicate in English. Okay, but while we we respect their linguistic and cultural identities, and also while using L1 to is scaffolding, ya. Jadi ada dua aspek, ya, to aspects in using L1 or home languages. The first one is to maximize the use of L2 as a means of scaffolding, and the second one, it's part of our way of teaching, educating our students as whole persons. Okay, so being inclusive. Sorry, everyone, I need to wait for my laptop to move to another slide. It's taking time right now. Okay, I might use escape. Go. Okay. Can you see my PowerPoint presentation?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much, Boo. Okay, let's use the manual way. Now, maximizing L2 while valuing multilingualism. Okay, one tip from me, just one tip. Okay, Now we can learn from each other, and I believe that you as like teachers have different um experiences in using L1, okay, while maximizing L2. Okay, one tip from me is training how to maximize L2 while valuing multilingualism. One tip from me is training your students routine expressions such as words for instruction. Okay, for instance, who's next? Okay. When the first time I use this, normally I translate it. Okay, but when they know the expression already, then I just use English without translation. For instance, who's next? Siapa selanjutnya? In Indonesian. Next, siapa selanjutnya? If you can as teachers you can judge from the students faces where they understand you or not. Okay? If they look for instance they look confused, then you can translate it. And then whose turn is it now? Yeah, I still remember when I use this, because students look confused, then I wrote it on my board. Okay, and then I read that very loudly. Whose turn is it now? Whose turn is it now? Giliran siapa sekarang? Something like that. Okay, then after a while I didn't have to translate it. Okay, and then for instance, please work in a group of 3. Basically teachers talk. You can add by bit when when the opportunity is appropriate. Okay, when the time is appropriate. Okay, or for instance to ask question. Okay, so we also need to equip students to what to inquire about English. For instance, what is the English word for sabar? Yeah, patient. Oh, yeah. You can in English you can say, for instance, patient. Yeah. How do you say sampai jumpa in English? Okay. Can you repeat the word? Or what is the meaning of the meaning of for instance confused Bu? Okay, for instance. And so rather than because this is just simple routines. Okay, rather than well, of course it's not something forbidden to ask, Bu, apa artinya confused. Okay, but familiar and also fluent with day-to-day routines. Okay, later so they can be confident. Yeah, confident talking about English bit by bit. Okay, right. If you can, for instance list the what all the expressions that you need to use in class, then really you might be surprised how this kind of what strategy works in your class. Okay, all right students, now the last slide. Okay, it's almost an hour. Okay, now conclusion. Using multilingual approaches is a necessity in our English teaching to value our students as whole persons with their unique linguistic and cultural identity. And then English only policy, while may maximize our use of L2, it denies. Oh, sorry, this is not grammatical. Yeah, English only policy, while may maximize our use of L2, denies. Okay. Anyway, yeah, I'm a grammar teacher, so I'm very conscious of my grammar. But anyway, don't worry. Okay, denies the real words multilingual realities. Nanti dihilangkan ya, it-nya ya. And may lead to various linguistic and socio-cultural negative impacts. Yeah. And despite this, we need to be strategic in our use of home languages. to enable our students learn how to communicate in English effectively, while educating our students to be well-grounded in their native linguistic and cultural identities. Because we are not British people, we are not American people, we are not Australian people, we are not Canadian, okay? We are Indonesian, we are Vietnamese, okay? Probably like, and also our students, Japanese, and they are all like, need, like acknowledgement because their personal identities, their linguistic and cultural identities matter. All right. For further reading, okay, you can explore like this source using multilingual approaches, moving from theory to practice. This is very important because like you need to practice the approach rather than just like knowing that theoretically. Okay, so it's a resource book of strategies, activities, and projects for the classroom. This is something exciting that you can explore, okay, as bilingual as bilingual speakers, okay, as non-native speakers. Okay, now the references, okay, you can find like if you would like to explore further about the issues or like what matters that I have mentioned, you can check like these references. All right, now question and answer, please. Question and answer.
Yes.
Silakan Bapak Ibu boleh memakai bahasa Indonesia. Okay, Linda is like able to speak Indonesian, I think. All right, Linda, you can what is your question?
Miss Titik, can we have the PDF link of the slide you just show us?
Oh yeah, sure. I'll share that later. Don't worry. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Is there any comment or question? You can also being respectful to like my participants like language backgrounds. Okay, you can also ask in Indonesian. Okay. Yes, please. Oh, can you open the conclusion again? Sure. Sorry. Yeah, this is the conclusion. Okay, I'll switch to Indonesian a bit. Like, like I hope like Linda. Oh, okay. Bu Yuniati,
Yes, yes.
silakan Bu Yuniati.
Yeah, I just want to ask not a simple questions for me,
Yes.
but a simple answer for you. I'm
No,
sorry.
don't worry. I might not be able to answer that. That like other like participants like can help me later if I cannot answer it. Okay, go
Okay.
ahead, Bu.
Yeah, in this media, so many applications, especially in for English learners to use and open easily that application, translation or making subtitles or trying to imitate words or expression. Now my question is, what skills must be improved in this so many applications for learning English, and what strategy can we use it? Thank you.
Well, thank you, Bu Yuniati. It's true. It's a difficult question. So this is actually about call, Bu Yuniati. Is that what you mean about like use of computer
Questions.
Yeah, assisted like language learning,
Yeah, right.
like Google Translate. Is it only about Google Translate or like
Oh.
machine translation or others like
Many of
ChatGPT?
them. ChatGPT
Oh,
is so damaged.
right. So this is a bit like different from my issue, but from my topic here. But anyway, I'll try to answer. Okay, Ibu Bapak, I'll try to like to mention Ibu first. Ibu Bapak, like technology is inevitable, no matter like how threatened like we are, and also like how like that. Although like we are also aware like that it has a lot of like negative impacts. Like it's potentially like can what like disrupt like students' language learning. But at the same time, if we can manage them, okay, like we like we can use them like to maximize our students like language learning. Okay. And of course, like one challenge like in using um call like technology in our like language teaching is like how to what like to give them like awareness, okay? Awareness that like about like how that like it may not like be good like for our students, okay, for them, okay. And also like to like to establish like guidelines like so like they can maximize like the use of technology for their language learning rather than what just being product oriented and get things done, okay. And I think like it needs a lot of work like on our part as instructors and teachers, okay. And we are now like research are still working on that, okay. So it's not something an issue that like what like that can be what do you call that, is a very complex issue. Yes, but so we need like then what we can do like to for instance like to um make like to help students for instance to manage the use of Google Translate for instance, like um help them, okay, to understand, okay, that what you need is to study English. I don't want good English your product, okay, but like I need you to learn English. So mistakes, like what funny English in quotation, whatever it is, students interlanguage are more welcome. Jadi Bu Yuniati nanti ketika menilai yang interlanguage-nya banyak, yaitu yang kemudian campur bahasa Inggris dengan bahasa Indonesia kayak gitu, berarti itu tulisan mereka sendiri. Karena kan bisa menilai kan dari background mahasiswa, dari background murid, itu yang nilainya lebih tinggi kalau saya. Yang lain yang kemudian itu apa namanya bagus sekali, I might talk to them. Could you get this? Like what? How could you get this? Could get all the English like correct? How did you do that? Okay, and then you can talk to them like heart to heart. Dan kemudian nilainya akan saya kurangi untuk bahasanya. Kalau konten dan yang lain-lainnya kalau buat sendiri dikasih nilai juga karena itu bagian dari writing. Okay, but we need to be super patient. So we wouldn't be judgmental like to them. This is something that we need to like to approach like very carefully. Yeah. Yeah, it's a difficult like matter like Bu Yuniati, but I really appreciate like your what like
Because
your question.
to,
Yeah,
to
and you can
guide-
also test. Yeah, kalau saya akan bilang begini juga. Know your students, know your students well. Tahu mereka itu bahasa Inggrisnya itu tingkatnya seberapa. Jadi kalian apa namanya kita akan tahu ketika mereka menggunakan apa namanya Google Translate secara tidak betul atau kemudian itu hanya untuk membantu mereka untuk kalimat-kalimat saja Kak seperti itu. Karena kalau misalnya untuk membantu kalimat saja, misalnya itu masih boleh. Tapi kalau kemudian one paragraph, whole paragraph, that wouldn't help them like to learn English. Okay. And also incorporate the use of machine translation in your class. For instance, jadi mereka diminta untuk menulis bahasa Indonesia dulu, kemudian disuruh menerjemahin dalam bahasa Inggris, nggak boleh pakai teknologi sama sekali di kelas. Kemudian setelah itu dicek sama-sama terjemahnya apa. Gitu untuk kelas, kemudian dibandingkan gitu. Nah, but of course that leaves another problem to us because we cannot control their like their use of Google Translate or the machine translation outside like class. Siapa yang bisa ngontrol toh Bu? Nah, itu makanya harus ada guidelines dan juga awareness bahwa kalian perlu belajar bahasa Inggris seperti itu. Ya. Dan yang betul-betul belajar yang bahasa Inggrisnya jelek, kemudian nulis sendiri, itu nilainya lebih bagus. Tergantung konteks lah, karena pasti ada banyak faktor. Ya. Thanks a lot, Bu Yuni. Okay, I have to move to another participant like Bu Yuni. Thank you very much. Bu Tasya, please. This is the last question because I have to pass this floor to Bu Liz soon. Bu Tasya, I cannot hear you. Oh,
They're mute.
okay, all right. Someone could Sandy and I'm wondering if I can unmute it.
Is my voice
Yes, I can.
check? Is it now good?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. Good afternoon, Bu Titi.
Yes. Good afternoon.
First of all, I used to be your student, I think, a long time ago, like 20 years ago. Okay.
Yes,
Good afternoon.
it's a long time ago. Yeah.
Yeah, a long time ago. So I'm a private English tutor right now because I'm a full-time homemaker. But like 10 years ago, I teach in a English course, a multinational company where we are not allowed to teach Bahasa Indonesia at all. So I'm surprised with the content today. Now I have a question. I'm a private English teacher, and all my students are elementary students, and they speak Bahasa Indonesia at home, but they study in a school where English is treated as second language. So they have imported books, with phonics and vocab and stuff. So the parents expect me to teach, speaking conversation, and they expect their children to be fluent, yeah. And I use the theory when I work in an English course, yeah, the one where we cannot use Bahasa Indonesia. And now I see this seminar, and so should I put Bahasa Indonesia when my private students still understand if they ask the meaning? So I use explanation, I change the words, I use the pictures, or should I mix the bahasa in order to reach the goal where I see the conclusion? So is it 100% that we put L1 in our teaching, or is it still okay when the students still actually engage to the teacher and use English all the time? What do you think?
Well, it's a very good question, Bu Tasya.
Thank you.
Basically, it's good that your students know a lot of English. Very good. Okay. When they still understand you, it's okay to keep using English. But remember that you are all non-native speakers, right? And show them that you can also switch Indonesian, for for instance, to give them say for instance bagus, okay, to praise them, for instance, to build rapport, a good relationship with students, or probably when you can also say good morning and then selamat pagi, Yeah. So you don't have to switch to Indonesian, and I don't advise you like to use Indonesian all the time, because that's not the goal of teaching English by incorporating multilingualism. Okay, we use first one, like it's just like what a way, like to treat them like as some as holistic persons, that they are not just like English, they are not like they are bilinguals. Okay, jadi hanya untuk kecil-kecil aja, misalnya oh bagus switch, it's a way to acknowledge that English Indonesia, there is nothing wrong with Indonesian, there is nothing wrong with Vietnamese. It can be 5%. It can be just
Okay.
probably just 1%
So
when
not
necessary.
not necessarily translating, so I can use like sapaan or idioms maybe in Bahasa Indonesia to show them
Yes.
as a holistic person. Okay, I get it.
Yeah, and I don't what level is your students competence? Intermediate,
And
advanced?
I should probably like elementary, not yet
Oh,
to
okay.
intermediate. Yeah, elementary.
I believe
But
that they
they're
don't
good
know.
speakers. They're good speakers, most
Yeah,
of them.
but yeah, I believe they don't know all English words. So they can use translation sometimes, like they at some states you might like don't feel guilty like for using like Indonesian. Okay, strategic. So I cannot say you can use about 5%. No, it really depends on your students context. Kalau memang nggak bisa sama sekali dan mereka nggak mudeng, ngapain? What's the point of speaking English? No, that's not like I don't believe in such kind of strategy. Okay, but if they know a lot of English, like keep on like using English, but then at the same time, like what you need to give yourself and also your students room to connect as Indonesians, connect as Vietnamese. Okay, karena nanti ketika mahasiswa atau murid-murid Bapak Ibu ketika mingle dengan orang-orang yang dari inner circle, mereka nanti kalau tidak kemudian tidak dihargai bahasa Indonesianya, mereka mungkin akan merasa my English is not adequate enough. Kemudian jadi minder. Bahasa Inggrisnya ada, logat Jawanya sedikit, which is alright. You don't have to speak like a Brit. You don't have to speak like an Australian. No. Memang kalau sudah logatnya bagus, kemudian juga mahasiswa saya dulu logatnya bagus sekali, grammarnya nggak karuan. Saya lihat kayak gitu, pronunciation-mu sangat itu American, tapi grammarnya nggak karuan, belepotan. Tapi orang yang nggak tahu bahasa Inggris akan melihat bahwa orang itu, waduh, keren sekali, hanya karena aksennya American. Buat saya yang saya orang dosen bahasa Inggris, saya tahu grammarnya jelek sekali. Saya akan lebih menghargai yang bahasa Inggrisnya itu kemudian adequate, bisa untuk ngajar dan segala macam, nilainya lebih besar. Bukan karena pronunciation-nya itu American. Pronunciation-nya ada logat Jawanya nggak apa-apa, yang penting bisa pahami. Seperti itu. Ya, dan ada juga kekurangan. Ketika ada immersion, ada kakak saya yang itu kerja di kebetulan di bank besar ya. Itu kemudian karena dia memperkerjakan juga karyawan-karyawan yang dulu itu hanya belajar bahasa di sekolah internasional, kuliahnya juga di luar negeri. Kemudian ketika pulang, ketika mereka memegang role-role yang strategis dan harus menulis surat dalam bahasa Indonesia untuk pejabat-pejabat Indonesia atau pejabat bank yang lain, bahasa Indonesia mereka itu nggak karuan, nggak jalan. Lah kamu itu orang mana? Mau jadi orang itu Pak, orang Inggris atau orang apa Kak gitu? Padahal kamu orang Indonesia, kan sayang sekali toh kita nggak menghargai diri kita sendiri. Dan untuk saya yang mengajar guru-guru, calon-calon guru, saya tidak mau guru-guru saya nanti dihargai jauh lebih rendah daripada native speakers. Hanya karena kita promote native speakerism. This is something that we need to be aware of as non-native speakers. And this is the very movement that Asia TEFL is taking on right now. Kemarin 800 orang ke sana dan multilingualism dan juga bahwa we need to stand like, what, grounded in our like cultural and also linguistic, like identities, native grounds.
Thank you, Bu Titi. Let me
Yeah.
remind you that you need to
Yes,
share
yes,
the
that's
time
right.
with English as well.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
kindly, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Bu Neni. Sorry, like, for the overtime. Yeah, I started like, at 1:05. Anyway, we have to go now. Thank you everyone for your participants. Thank you, Bu Neni, for reminding me of the time. Thank you everyone. Good afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bu Titi. So for the next one, we will have Bu Lis.
Yeah,
You're
I'm trying to.
sharing the ini dulu ya, the task, please.
Oh, the task is, like, please, like, find the task, like, in my last, like, page, on my last page. Okay, you need to what, like, incorporate one strategy. I forgot that actually, Puneni. Sorry. All right. Okay, like, it's I can, like, talk about the task later, like, on WhatsApp, since I don't want to take more of Pun list times. Thank you everyone. I'm leaving now.
Yeah, thank you, Bu Titi. Bu Neni, can I start right away, yeah? Because it's 10 minutes past. Good afternoon, Bapak Ibu. Thank you for attending our session. And Bu Titi is really enthusiastic, yeah, and on fire, yeah, to talk about the topic. Mine is very practical, Bapak Ibu, yeah. Let me share the screen. Yeah, it's about assessment. Yeah, it's something very practical and wait. Let me find the where is the oh this one. Yeah, the glass is over there. Okay. Okay, it's very practical. Yeah. Assessment, of course, all teachers deal with assessment, almost every day. Okay, now let's see here. I will skip some of the messages which have been discussed by Bu Titi before. Yeah, this one, everybody. Assessing the learner. Okay, we have some pre-discussion questions here. Can you just write down in the chat box, your answers? What is assess? What do you think? You may answer in Bahasa Indonesia or in English, okay? Please write down your answers in the chat box, everybody. What is assess and assessment, okay? What is assessed and what is assessment? Okay, menilai, menilai. Any other answers? Yeah. And how do you assess your students, Bapak Ibu? Ya, bagaimana biasanya menilai? How do you assess your students? You give a test like multiple choice, true, false, or short answers, or what else? Okay, how do you assess? Okay, using test. Okay, to know the level. This is the purpose. To know the level. The knowledge level of the learners, okay, good. Using rubrics, okay, good. Bu Yuni, okay. And then what types of, how do you usually assess, okay? And the next one, what types of assessment do you give? Do you give true, false most of the time, multiple choice, essay, meaning long answers or short answers, Okay, later I can go back to the chat box, Bapak Ibu. Okay, from Miss Linda, okay. Test, multiple choice, essays, true, false, bergantian, so sometimes essay, sometimes multiple choice, okay, good. I prepare a lot of stuff like diagnostic non-cognitive tests, yeah, to know the students' learning styles. Okay, good. In form of multiple choice, okay. It depends on the materials, okay. Presentation, good. Short answer questions, we use all of them. Okay, thank you. Now let's see the next slide, Bapak Ibu. Yeah. Yeah, I think for the interval, yeah, like once a week or every semester, yeah, or every day perhaps, yeah. And the frequency, yeah, it depends. Yeah, some of you give the test almost assessment. Yeah, sorry, not test but assessment. Maybe give the test every time the lesson ends. Yeah. Do you assess by skills or by aspects, like listening and then writing, or by aspects, by the skills or aspects like grammar, vocab, okay, pronunciation. Okay, skills, there are 4, yeah, as we know. Reading, writing, and then listening and speaking. Yeah. Okay, and after one material is finished, okay, thank you, Bu Yuni. By the skills, okay, thank you. And do you assess holistically, yeah, as a whole, or do you assess with great details? Yeah. Even for MRM, for example, yeah, you will see the small details. Yeah, every single error is assessed, for example. Yeah. Okay, thank you for the answers, Bapak Ibu. Okay, now let's see the next slide here. Okay, what is assessment? Assessment actually works side by side with teaching and learning. And so we cannot separate assessment from teaching and learning. Then teachers, all of us, use a wide range of formal and informal techniques to help ourselves identify our learners' strengths and weaknesses. Yeah? Once again, we use a wide range of formal and informal techniques to help us identify our learners' strengths as well as weaknesses. And then we plan the most appropriate next steps based on the learner's needs. Yeah? So that's why we need needs analysis. Yeah? Actually, we have to know what our students need. Yeah. Okay, there's from Bu Liviana. Yeah, summative assessment in the end of each topic, right? Formative assessment during the activities such as group or individual work. Okay, good. Yeah, thank you for the answers. Yeah. Now we will see kinds of tests, everybody. Yeah. Here, there are several types, like first, pre-assessment or diagnostic assessment. Sometimes it is also called pre-test. Yeah. To get to know our students' strengths and weaknesses and the skills and knowledge that they possess, misspell, yeah, they possess before taking the instruction. Like in my paragraph writing class, for example, yeah, my colleague and I, Bu Rindang and I, want to know the students' initial ability in writing paragraphs. So we give, we give the students diagnostic test or diagnostic assessment. Yeah. Okay, and then formative assessment, some of you mentioned this before, yeah, to monitor student learning, to provide feedback. Yeah, so doesn't have to be given at the end of the semester. And then we have summative assessment. Now this one is assess the extent to which the most important outcomes at the end of the instruction. Yeah, so this is what we know as test summative. Yeah, and confirmative assessment to find out if the instruction is still a success after a year. An extensive form of a summative assessment. So this will be given sometime later. Yeah, maybe a year after the materials are given. Yeah, to see whether the students are still well informed, yeah, of the knowledge that they get. But most of the time, when I ask my students about the past knowledge that has been given by the teachers, they say that I forgot, and so they don't understand any single thing. Yeah. Okay, next we have from the type, norm-referenced assessment, to compare students' performance against an average norm. For example, the average national norm for the subject of history, and in Bahasa Indonesia, we say this sistem penilaian nisbi. This is different from criterion referenced assessment. This is called sistem penilaian patokan, to measure students' performance against a fixed set of predetermined criteria or learning standards. Of course, with criterion reference assessment, this is easier for the students because they have to reach a certain standard to pass a certain criterion. But with norm-referenced assessment, then if we get 70 or only 65, for example, compared to other students in the class, perhaps they could get an A, for example. This is sistem penilaian nisbi. Okay, next, there is also what is called as ipsative assessment, to measure the performance of a student against previous performances from that student, to measure the progress of a person. This is individual assessment. The student is trying to improve him or herself by comparing the previous results of the student. Ipsative. Now let's see, this is assessment of learning and assessment for learning. This is what Bapak Ibu have to know. Assessment of learning is generally carried out by the teacher to collect information about the attainment. Okay, it is usually done at the end of the course or school year. This is what we normally know as summative, summative assessment. Okay, and then it takes the form of exam or test, and usually used to assign grades and report achievement or failure. That's why we have what is that report, to give to the parents. And this is the result of assessment of learning, or we know as summative assessment. Okay, now next we have assessment for learning. Okay, what we know as formative assessment. This is traditional approaches to assessment based on assessment for learning. Okay, this is also referred to as formative assessment, and it is the process of collecting and interpreting evidence for use by teachers and learners to decide where they are in the learning, where they need to go and how best to get there. So it means during the teaching learning process, both teachers and students can see, the students still need encouragement or reinforcement in this point, in that point, so they can improve before the semester ends. Okay, and then formative assessments, assessment for learning, are about improving teaching and learning using techniques like observation, self-assessment, questioning, quizzes. Some of you even mentioned about presentation. That's a very good way of assessing the students. Not only based on the scores, but also they have to present their work. Tools that teachers, these tools tell teachers and learners what to revise, what to do next, what changes to make to the syllabus before they reach the important final assessment. Okay, still about formative assessment. It is a process by which assessment information is used by teachers to adjust their learning strategies. And by students to adjust their learning strategies. So perhaps in the middle of the semester, then the teacher sees that, I need to do this to make students understand better about the vocabulary, for example. So in this case, they will add more strategies to teach vocabulary. This is the same thing happens to students. They have to adjust their learning strategies. And then it is a good idea to have a variety of activities that teachers can use, as well as providing them with important information. Okay, and then assessment for learning activities can be fun, add variety to the lesson, and train learners to be more autonomous, more independent by understanding their own learning needs. Okay, okay, next, effective assessment of a skill should look to see how well the skill can be performed. Okay, for example, we need to assess students' speaking ability. Then, of course, the focus is on the speaking performance. Okay, grammar can be assessed, but the bigger portion is given to the speaking performance, for example. Yeah. Okay, how well can learners use language in communicative ways to share their ideas and get things done? Okay, so this is also a question for all of us, for teachers. Yeah, how well can learners use language in communicative ways to share their ideas and get things done? So if the focus is on communicative competence, then we have to assess their communicative ability. But if the focus is on writing ability, for example, then the focus is different. Yeah. Okay, next, class activities used as assessment purposes. Nah, Bapak Ibu, according to Willis and Willis, a task is an activity that engages learners' interest. Yeah, so students should be interested, should be motivated in the activity, and then it is concerned with successful communication of meaning. Okay, and it has an outcome or product or result. This is in line with OBE. Yeah, outcome based education. Yeah, so there must be a product or a result. Yeah, like classes in tertiary level, level perguruan tinggi, we are also encouraged, yeah, to produce something, yeah, with the students, either what is that, publication, or maybe HKI, and so what is the product, yeah, of our class? Okay, and then this is similar to real world activities. Okay, so not only theoretical, but the activities like in the real world. Okay, and then many of the activities that teachers use in the class can meet Willis and Willis criteria, like writing an email, listening to directions, following a map. Okay, and this can be used for assessment purposes. When they write email, later when they work, they have to do this, and it is good idea to teach them, yeah, how to write email properly, yeah, with good greetings, salutations, etc. Even for sending WhatsApp messages, for example, yeah, to teachers, this can also be included in the activities here. Yeah, so they can, so our students can properly, yeah, send messages to teachers and not just saying, I have submitted my assignment, yeah, but they have to speak, or they have to write, yeah, politely, like, good afternoon, ma'am, or sir, I just want to inform, blah, blah, blah. So they know the ethics also, yeah, as well as the content should be clear. Okay, now Bapak Ibu, yeah, there is what is that? An example, yeah, of assessment. Example, yeah. Nan is a teacher, is designing assessment task for her year 4 learners, have got and B. Okay, present simple. And the teacher cannot decide whether to use task A or B. Task A, create a book about tigers, write sentences, and remember to include pictures. And then assessment B, complete the gaps with have got or are. Zebras, blah, 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 black and white stripes. Rhinos, blah, 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 thick skin. Cheetahs, blah, 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 very fast, etc. Now, Bapak Ibu, which one do you choose? You can write down in the chat box, or you may also raise your hand, yeah, to discuss. Which one will you choose if you were none, if you were the teacher? Would you choose assessment A or assessment B? Yes, anyone? Oh yeah, let's see the chat box. Oh, B, yeah. Yeah, Miss Tasha, yeah, I remember you, yeah. Okay. Ibu Margaret, yeah, also B, yeah, okay. Okay, nobody chooses A. Yeah. Okay, thank you for the answers. Okay, let's see the chat box. B for constructions, A for further exercise. Okay, thank you, Miss Fifi. Yeah. Okay. Now let's see the discussion. Yeah, Bapak Ibu. Okay. A. Yeah, the strength. Learning is happening at the same time as assessment. Learners are assessed on their ability to produce language, to communicate ideas, and making a book is authentic and real-life task for children. The test provides more information about learners can or cannot do. Okay, learners can feel proud of the final product and can be used to show progress to parents. Of course, the book is a simple one. Yeah. Learners can work with their own level. Stronger learners get the chance to demonstrate, yeah, what they are capable of. And the task is open-ended, yeah, meaning not limited to answer is or are or have got or has got. Yeah. And then task, yeah, the weakness, it takes longer time, of course, and marking takes longer than a test because the answers are, of course, longer and more complicated, and it requires criterion-based assessment. Yeah. Okay, while assessment B, yeah, the task can be completed quickly, yeah, only choosing. And some students may count the, what is that? The button, yeah, menghitung kancing gitu ya. And then it is easy to mark, yes, only M is R, has got, have got. Okay, if not, it is wrong. Yeah, no in between. And then the topic is age appropriate and engaging for children, but the weaknesses are doesn't show how well the learners are able to produce language. And sometimes they are just counting the gecko's voice, yeah, like what is that, A, and then the gecko says toke, and then they will choose A, and then twice they will choose C, B, etc. Okay, there are only two options, yeah? And learners could easily guess the correct answer. The test is not motivating, doesn't reflect what the children do, yeah, in real life. Okay, let's see the chat box again. Okay, thank you, Ibu Rofi. Yeah, B. Okay, yeah. So it depends, Bapak Ibu. Yeah, if you need to see, yeah, how our students, yeah, experience with tigers, yeah, in more real picture, then A will be used, yeah. But on the other hand, yeah, if we just need to know their understanding about is or have got, has got, then B can be chosen. Okay, thank you. Now let's move to selecting assessment activities. These are the guiding questions, Bapak Ibu, ya. You can see this for making assessment, yeah. Okay. Is the test appropriate for the age and level of your learners? Yeah, remember Krashen's theory of input hypothesis, I+1. So don't give assessment which is too difficult for our students, yeah, according to the level, Yeah, so I+1, a little bit above the level is okay, yeah, but not too high. Number 2, will the task highlight the language or skill you want to assess clearly or not? Okay. Atau malah membingungkan ini ya, or is this confusing? Number 3, are the task and topic relevant and engaging for the learners? Is the task something they do or will do in real life? Oh, sorry, the point should go to the other to the previous number. Number 4, is the task practical? Okay. Is it possible? Sorry, this also belongs to number 4. Is it possible to do with the size of your class? Will it take too long to mark? Yeah, this perhaps deal with group work. Yeah, is it can the class accommodate the group work? Yeah, and can the students move around comfortably, or is it too small for them to move around? Yeah, we have to consider the space also. And then next, are there any English cultural references that the learners will not understand? Yeah, cultural things. Yeah, then like what would it mentioned before? It is something something cultural. Yeah, maybe it's not in the book. Yeah, then we have to explain. Okay. Next, are the learners familiar with the type of activity? If not, then we have to explain. Yeah. How do learners answer? Okay, we have to be clear. Yeah, with gestures or by drawing pictures, labeling, by coloring. Okay, is the type of response appropriate for your learners? Could this increase or reduce difficulty? Number 8, are the instruction clear and simple? Yeah, be careful, Bapak Ibu, ya, because many times we think that the instructions are clear, but actually maybe our instructions are still confusing for the students. Okay, and then how many different steps are there? Okay, are examples provided? 9, have the learners studied grammar and vocabulary they need to do the task? Yeah. Is there visual support like pictures, diagrams, images that help learners understand the context? Next, how much time? This is important, Bapak Ibu. So don't give tasks or assessments which are too much, yeah, and the time is so limited. For example, they have to do 20 questions in just, or 25 questions in just 5 minutes, and that's too soon, yeah, that's too limited. And how will the task be scored or marked? Yeah, this is also important, and students need to know. Yeah. Now, Bapak Ibu, let's see assessment criteria. Yeah. When you define assessment criteria, identify and describe the specific things that the learners have to do to complete the task successfully. The criteria can be helpful for assessing performance-based tasks like speaking, writing, project work. Yeah. And when you evaluate the quality of each part separately, the assessment is likely to be more objective. Okay. So not integrated as one, yeah, but individually, separately for every skill, yeah, for every performance, and more objective, yeah, not influenced by personal feelings and opinions, and more consistent. Yeah. Okay. Next, assessment criteria also help learners providing more specific feedback on their strengths and weaknesses than a simple grade. They provide important link between assessment and learning. They highlight the most important parts of a task or project for learners to focus on before they begin. The same criteria can be used such as checklist for self or peer assessment before a piece of work is submitted. So once again, Bapak Ibu, this is also essential in our assessment making or defining the assessment criteria. This is an example of the assessment criteria, Bapak Ibu, ya. For example, you will give 3, yeah, point or score 3 for outstanding work. 2 for successful, and 1 for improvement, for work which still needs improvement. Okay. With this kind of assessment criteria, this will decrease subjectivity, and we will be more objective. In other words, rubrics, this is called grading rubrics, can help us be more objective. And personal judgment, it is there, but it is minimized. Okay, now let's see self and peer assessment. Peer assessment. This is done by peers, peer students. When learners self or peer assess, they compare their work or a classmates with a good example against success criteria. So when they have to assess themselves, so I give a self-assessment and peer assessment to my writing students, so they can see their own work, how they assess their own work, and also their friends can help them improve their ideas. And they will follow a list of things they should include or do for a task to be successful. So these are from the friends, from the friends feedback, or from themselves after doing self-assessment. Okay, after a second thought, after reading this again and again, I need to increase, or I need to improve this and that. They have the opportunity to find appropriate information and help, and thus make improvements to their work. The focus is strongly on learning and improving, not being right or wrong. Okay. With a self and peer assessment, training and practice, learners develop deeper understanding of what good work looks like and how to achieve. They are more actively involved in and responsible for their own learning, and this can have positive effect on motivation and give them skills they need for lifelong learning. So, Bapak Ibu, I always remind my students when I ask them to do peer assessment. Okay, this is not to judge your friends. This is not to state your friend is right or wrong, to decide them they are right or wrong, but this is to improve. This is to help each other. So your and your friends' work will be improved. So we need to give understanding to the students and remind them most of the time about this. And Bapak Ibu, this is an example of checklist for teachers. We also need to create this kind of assessment, like this is using self and peer assessment. I have used self-assessment successfully with my learners. This is for teachers. Yes or no. Not true, partially true, or true. I have used peer assessment successfully. Yes or no. I make self and peer assessment a regular part of my lesson. I give learners exemplars and success criteria. Self and peer assessment are not appropriate for my learners at school. I would like to know more about self and peer assessment. So sometimes we need to have this kind of checklist for our selves as teachers. Okay, now we come to the conclusion, Bapak Ibu. Each assessment has its own purpose. Okay, it depends. Like what Bapak Ibu mentioned in the chat box before. It depends. On what we need to assess. Okay, so that's why I mentioned that each assessment has its own purpose. Next, teachers have to decide which assessment is to be used based on the given purpose. Also the type, to decide which assessment is to be used. Okay, avoid subjectivity, increase objectivity. Okay, as teachers, we should not use personal subjectivity, like, oh, okay, I like this student, so I will give good scores for him or her. well, I don't like this student, so I will give. Now, that's very subjective. Yeah. And then use various types of assessment, not the same type all the time. And some teachers, yeah, even use the same test from year to year. So this can be predictable. Yeah, this can be predicted easily by the students. Okay, so we are encouraged to use various types of assessments. And then next, use assessment criteria to avoid subjectivity, what we know as rubrics, yeah, grading rubrics, yeah, to avoid subjectivity. Okay, that's all for this session, Bapak Ibu, but we will have question and answer session, and this is, I have shared the materials to Mas Sandi, so later he will share the materials to all of you, and there is also a questionnaire to fill in before leaving the webinar later. Yeah, but we will have question and answer session first. Yeah, maybe Bapak Ibu, you can write down in the chat box, or you can raise your hand, and we can have a question and answer session for about, how much time do we still have, Mas Andi? 15 minutes, am I right? Yeah.
Probably we can have 10 minutes for question and answer.
10 minutes, yeah, okay. And the rest of the time can be used for filling in the...
There will be some announcements that we need to make.
Oh, okay,
For the
yeah.
program.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, maybe Sandy can help to wait. I need to look for the link. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yes, Mas Sandy, can you help me to share the link of the, what is that? Yeah. Okay. The questionnaire. Yeah. This will help you, Bapak Ibu, in improving, yeah, your lesson plan. Yeah. This is a kind of self reflection question. Yeah. Yes, please. Any question, Bapak Ibu? So we have 10 minutes, yeah, for the question and answer session. Yes. No questions? Or you may share your experiences, Bapak Ibu, yeah, your success story, yeah, in creating assessment and how it works, and maybe you can share the types of assessment that you use in your classes, and how the assessment is successful, and this sharing of ideas. Yeah, so other teachers can also try the same assessment. Yeah. No questions? Okay. Okay, if there is no question, then I will, maybe everything is clear. Everything is convincing or confusing. Yeah. Oh, there is something in the, oh, okay. Thank you, Bu Khadijah. Yeah. Happy to have you here. Thank you, Miss Linda. You are from Vietnam, Miss Linda?
Hello. Yeah, I am from Vietnam.
Ah, okay. I went there in 2019, yeah, before the pandemic.
Oh, I see.
For Viet TESOL, yeah, Vietnam TESOL conference. Yeah.
In Hanoi or in Ho Chi Minh City?
No, Hue.
Oh, in Hue. Oh, wow,
Hue.
nice.
Yeah, beautiful city. Yeah.
Yeah, I have never been there.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. There's a question from Bu Rofi. Yeah. How to create start test or formative. Yeah. Does it mean that how do we create a formative test, Bu Rofi? Okay, yeah. As we have discussed before, yeah, Bapak Ibu, there is no certain what is that? No strict no strict instruction that okay, teachers have to give this for a formative test. Yeah, and we have discussed some of the examples before. Yeah, any types of assessment, yeah, can be used as formative assessment. Yeah, as long as it is not based on personal judgment of the teacher, or it is not too subjective. Yeah, so try to be objective, like what is that? Using grading rubrics or grading criteria. Yeah, and the test is okay. Yeah, objective tests like multiple choice, true or false, can be used as well. But yeah. There is no answer in between. I mean, just right or wrong. Yeah. So if not true, the answer will be false. Yeah. So yeah, we have to use. That's why my suggestion is use various types of assessment, and not the same type all the time. Oh, okay. I need to leave now. Oh, okay, sure, Miss Linda. Thank you. Okay, another teacher training in Vietnam. Yeah, thank you.
Bu Liz, may I add something to answer Bu Rofi's question?
Oh, yeah, sure.
I think this is related to curriculum Merdeka, emancipated learning,
okay.
Rofi, because
shall I stop sharing?
No, it's all right. It's all right.
Okay,
So
okay, yeah.
I think one of the biggest challenge for teachers in curriculum Merdeka is because you are required to have formative awal, ya, assessment awal, initial assessment, yeah, initial assessment. That is something that is being emphasized in emancipated curriculum or curriculum Merdeka. So because it's related to another principle in curriculum Merdeka, which is differentiated instructions. And one of the thing about differentiated instruction is understanding your students. So a formative awal or assessment awal is for understanding your learners. Now, when we talk about differentiated instruction, the theory of it or the common practice is to understand learner profile, learning strategy, and their interests. So assessment awal, it can be from the counseling department. Kalau SMA biasanya ada BK ya gitu. There are also specific for language, yeah, because we're talking about the teaching of English as a subject. There are several tools that you can use for learning profile, for example. Multiple intelligence and such, it's been developed. If you are interested in it, I can share the 3 tools that consists of a Microsoft Excel file that your students can fill out, and then they will understand their learning strategies, their learning profile, and also their interests. Yeah, that's the first thing. So you can use that. Another thing is because curriculum Merdeka is based on phase. Yeah, phase A is for I think for PAUD. Yeah. B and C for SD, and then D for junior high school, E and F for senior high school. The best, not the best, it's advisable that you give them materials that is covered by the capaian pembelajaran or CP of previous phase. Yeah? So for example, if this is like fase A, E phase, which is year 10 in Cedar High School, for example. And if I'm not mistaken, the capaian pembelajaran for the phase is including narrative and descriptive, I think. So you can actually give them an assignment to create a narrative, free narrative. So you can tell like, okay, have they actually mastered the genre in the previous phase? So they are ready for phase E, or they haven't ready, or they are beyond beyond phase E. So yeah, this will of course differentiate your modul ajar. Yeah, it will differentiate your instruction. It will differentiate your content. It will differentiate your product. Yeah, for your students. So you can give actually something that is supposed to be achieved before. A lot of teachers here, I think, is from junior high school. So if you are in grade 7, for example, year 7, for example, it's good to actually look at the CP for elementary school, primary school, and see the kind of genre or the kind of skills that they are supposed to be able to perform in the previous phase. Give it as an assessment. Naratif misalnya, okay, tell a story, write a story that you're familiar, or a fable that you're familiar, and then you can see, okay, from there you can actually give them, you can assess them like, okay, they have already mastered the genre, the vocabulary that they choose is already quite advanced, how many words that they have already known, for example, whether they have understood the grammar, for example. So that's assessment awal in the principle of curriculum merdeka. Yeah? So you don't need to create something that is out of the blue. Or another alternative is that you can give them what you are planning to give for that phase. Yeah. Fase A itu kalau tidak salah, if I'm not mistaken, in E phase there are like 6 genres. 6 genres. Dicoba aja gitu. Okay. Oh, they're ready. They're not ready. So you can actually assess them using what you are going to teach and see how much they know already about it. So that after that assessment, you can use the initial assessment to adjust your teaching, to adjust your material, to adjust your assessment for that phase. I hope that helped, yeah, Ibu Rofi. Does that help? Ini pakai pendekatan kurikulum merdeka ya.
Yeah, thank you so much, Bu Nani. Yeah. So Bu Rofi, it's it becomes clearer now, yeah. Okay, yeah. Okay, so shall I stop now, Bu Nani? Because it's
yes, thank you, Bu Liz. Yeah. Thank you for your material, and thank you for Bu Titi, who are so passionate about translanguaging ya. Ini lagi topik yang lagi seksi, lagi seksi.
On fire, ya. She is on fire.
Topik, Bu.
Ya, ini lagi seksi topik banget gitu. Okay, so Bapak Ibu, thank you for attending today's workshop. Of course, we're going to have another one next month. All materials will be shared in our WhatsApp group. There is the description of the WhatsApp group contains link to the G drive of all material, including material from meeting 1, meeting 2 until the meeting today. If you haven't been in the WhatsApp group, kindly let us know. Mas Andi can help with, we will send you the invitation link for that. Another one is, one of the outcome of this workshop is publication of lesson plans. Yeah. If you're interested in making sure that your lesson plan is being published with us as a book, please send us the lesson plan. You can send it to me. I will type my email address, or you can also contact Mas Sandi. We will share the template. The template most likely is following modul ajar template from Curriculum Merdeka. But also because we are in cooperation with British Council in doing this workshop. Kindly include materials from British Council resources, yeah, the one that has been shared by all the facilitators. You know, you can maybe Mas Andi can also share. I think it's in WhatsApp group description as well, ya Mas Andi, kalau tidak salah di WhatsApp group itu di deskripsinya sudah ada materi, lalu ada online resourcesnya di mana gitu. Mas Andi later can share it. I think there are several people here who already put it in the chat. Their interest to be included in the WhatsApp group. If you are registered already, we have your email and we are going to send you all the reminders for the next workshop. We'll notify you through email. Also links, if you miss previous workshops, we also still have a YouTube and recording of all the sessions. So if your email is already in database because you're registered, you will get notifications. To the level that I hope you are not sick of it, because Mas Andi is going to repeat, Ilona is going to repeat as well all the information every week. Yeah? Every week we're going to give you repeat the information over and over. So if you want your lesson plans, module ajar to be published with us in a book, we're going to inform you about the templates and the details of that. Make sure you include the resources from British Council online resource in your module ajar. Thank you, Bapak Ibu. I'll see everybody in our workshop next month. It's going to be with who? Mas Andi, Ilona? Do you remember who's going to be next? We'll let you know. We'll let you know. Okay, are there any questions or any pressing concern? Don't forget all the post survey and things like that. Pak Arif, yeah, we will let you know the invitation. Okay, right. If there are no questions, I'll see you next month, the same time. The date usually is at the 3rd week or 4th week of the month. Have a good day. Have a good weekend. Don't forget
Okay,
to rest, everyone. Don't forget to rest. Have a good weekend.
Good afternoon. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. See you, ma'am.
Yeah, bye-bye.